Hey guys, I created a project at Kyle's request that has all the assets in it for each episode. This is all linked to what's on the Google Drive under 0000 TWO. So you shouldn't be missing any of these files. That's where I got them all. So you can use it as a starting project if you want, or if you want to just open it up and copy the assets over you need, that's great too. So here's the sequence, and everything's already kind of divided out on layers. So let's start with video first. So, I mean, if you're doing multicam, then probably graphics are going to fall on like three or four. But if you got um, three different layers of video for a non-multicam edit, it's going to fall higher up. So label these graphics one and two. You got your bars and tone, lovely sounding, and then your slate. Just go in here and you can edit your slate however you want. And then his intro is also here too because I like to not have that affected by any color, and I just mute this whole channel when I'm doing coloring. And then the next thing we got is we have our title. So this is our title, um, then exactly like what Kyle has done in After Effects, and it'll hold that transition till the very as long as you want. Well, the only thing to know is if you do it and it hasn't fully drawn in, it's just going to go black. And I've had some weird cases where the end of it'll show black too. But if you ever get in a pinch and you want to say make it shorter, just go new comp, create, and just cut it, and then kind of get to the very end of the title thing. Do this. The reason you can't do this with the other is as soon as you add a cut, it's going to start the animation over again. So if for some reason you needed something super short, that's a way to kind of force these things to do it because it's not a rendered movie. This is your name title, and um, change up your name there, and then the title is right there, and change whatever parameters you need. I mean, this should be pretty much locked in. The only thing that's happened is if I have like a second line um, name thing, which by the way, there's no all caps version option within this. So what I do is I open up Word and just change the case in there if I'm copying and pasting text, or I just retype it. But I'm always nervous about retyping because that's where I make mistakes. And then what I do is I just is shift this up just a little bit, kind of keep it centered, and then go. It looks a little bit better typically when someone has a normal A and not a weird funky European A in this thing. But that's how you just kind of do two lines. Let's undo that. Cool. And so that's the name title, so their introduction. And then also, if you're going to shift it, I go over to the settings that changes your video frame rather than your actual text, and it'll do the whole thing. So to make sure that it doesn't fall somewhere funky. And then you have a lower third, Urian, which is going to be the same every single time. And then Ragnar Johnson right there, just threw a second one in there. These orange things are what I have for breaks. I think that's kind of what we've been using. Just a static black, but I throw a color of the clip orange, so it's just really easy to see. I want to zoom out. 6 frames each on that. And then at the end, I moved the text, the credits over into Resolve. So you have a black line, which you can't really see right now. I'm going to just make this white so we can see what's actually going on here. Oh, well, I guess that's going to take a little. And there we go. Okay, so here's your credits, um, and it's typically left, middle, right, left, middle, right. And if you want to adjust, say the timing of all these, just select all of them and move them as one. I'm not a fan of subcomps. I feel like it's just too many clicks. I mean, I could subcomp them if we needed to, but I feel like that sometimes just causes problems. So if you just want to do, adjust each of them, you can just grab your um, grab the endpoints and kind of adjust them all at the same time, like that, and then that'll move the timing of it over. Okay, so that's should be credits, and then I have this other text in here too. If we don't have confirmed credits, we know there's changes to it. That's just a quick reveal, and then it says update credits to remind us not to send something out that's dumb. And then here you have the way out, and this is subcomped. So this is the title from the very beginning, and I bring it to the end and subcomp it and basically trim it so that it doesn't have the intro or the outro. It's just a static. So I just use what's from the beginning, but I subcomp it. And then, of course, these are the standard things at the end. And this is our standard runtime, 2258.15, I believe, is what we're running at. So now let's get down to audio, and to show you this, what I have is first two tracks, Dia1, Dia2, so Dialogue 1, Dialogue 2, and then Dialogue 3 and 4, I actually already have voice isolation added to that, which is a noise reduction within Resolve, because I now hate Clarity VX. That is dead to me. And then we have a track for narration. The only narration we notice on
Entrepreneurs
this
who are changing.
is the standard narration that is in the intro. Everything else I would consider to be dialogue. So that's the only thing that really goes on that track. And then sound effects 1 and 2. Tone, which is our tone and our 2-pop comes in. And then lastly, we got music and transitions. And so that's where I throw that stuff. Those are all stereo tracks. And then these are set up to one, to mono. And so I've gone ahead and organized, and this is really dumb to see on such a small monitor or without two monitors, but here's all of our regular audio tracks if you look at our mixer. But here you won't even see them all. It's all the buses. I'll click over to Fairlight to show you the buses. I don't even know if I'll be able to see them all in here. No, we're gonna have to go to dual screen, and I gotta switch it. Okay, there we go. Here's my buses. All right, so audio 1, 2, and these are all labeled. Dialogue 1, Dialogue 2, uh, Dia 3. Wow, they um, reduced my text on that in a weird way. But this is the vocal isolation, and each track has it. You can actually enable it just by clicking that little red dot, and then you can change your settings. I found a good mix that cuts out a lot of it, um, at least on the last thing. It was around 10 or 11, and so I just started this stuff off at 11. But anything you throw there, it's going to pull out wind noise, it's going to pull out engine noise, not completely. And so it hopefully it makes it sound a little natural. But if something funky is happening in your audio, check, make sure it's not on 3 or 4. And then for your narration here, I actually have a compressor. Oh, and if you click on any of these, by the way, it disables them. If you double click them, it opens them up. So I have a preset for TWO for the compressor the way I like it. And then also this is my TWO narration EQ. But then these 4 tracks here, you can see bus outputs are set to go to dialogue. And so then I have a bus that is dialogue. And then that then in turn goes to the master. So at any given point, anything you put that's between any of these tracks, or even if you add a new track, it's all going to output to the master. And don't worry about it. If things get a little weird, and if I'm doing the audio mixing at the end and I got to adjust some stuff, that's totally fine. I just kind of wanted to show you a brief of how these buses are mapped. The reason I do a dialogue is I want to apply the same EQ typically to all the dialogue, and then also the same compressor to all the dialogue. And that's what, instead of adding it up here on each track, I do it in a bus. Then from there, all my mixes are set to go to other buses. Um, and this is in correspondence with how they want them delivered. So masters is 1 and 2, music and sound effects is 3 and 4. So you'll see that like music goes to 3, 4, and sound effects goes to 3, 4, 3, 4. So I've mapped those all so that when I go to delivery page, um, which, forgive me as I swap them again, I can literally go down to audio and go output track, master, music and sound effects. And then this is going to put it all in the proper order. So then that's 5, and give me mono track where I need to, and stereo tracks where I need to. So that allows me to do all those output things. And if you keep tracks in the same track or the proper tracks, then it's going to already be basically all grouped. So anyway, if that gets confusing, just do your mix however you want, and I'll sort it out later. I just figured that might give me a little bit of a jump start. So I think that probably is plenty to describe, in essence, a project that's just all the assets. But hopefully that explains a little bit of what's going on. Cool. And I think that's it.